What I'm about to tell you will dramatically change how you handle your deepest realizations, but only if you can resist the overpowering urge to share them. Carl Jung once said that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you really are. But here's what he discovered that many people miss completely. There comes a time in every individual's awakening when knowledge alone stops being enough. When another quote or another video like this one stops filling the gap inside you. And that's when you realize something deep: the solutions you're desperately seeking aren't out there in the world. They're slowly echoing within you, waiting for your silence. But here's the secret Carl Jung understood about human psychology, and it's one that might save you years of wasted effort. Once you find something powerful about yourself, once you touch a reality that transforms everything, you will feel an overwhelming, even uncontrollable desire to share it. That's your ego trying to validate its breakthrough. But Jung found out something important about human psychology. Revealing your truth too early is like removing a seed from the soil the moment it starts to develop just to show other people you can grow something. According to Carl Jung's major research into the collective unconscious, wisdom cannot thrive in the soil of approval. It thrives in silence, in testing, in living out your truth, not just speaking about it. And if you ignore this concept, you'll make the same mistake that destroys 90% of people's transformations. Here's what nobody tells you about awakening: there will be agony. You will see what other people cannot see. You will walk differently. Your eyes will stop chasing the things they once found attractive. Your ears will get tired of noise. You will outgrow settings you once begged to be part of. And in that change, there will be loneliness, the kind that calls for expression, that compels you to explain yourself, to prove to other people that you've changed. But here's the trap that catches every person. Carl Jung said that everything that bothers us about other people can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. When you share your new realization too early, you're not sharing knowledge. You're nourishing your shadow, the part of you that needs to be seen, validated, and celebrated. And the moment you do that, you give away your strength. Stick around, because what I'm about to reveal will show you exactly why the prominent people you know hardly talk about their breakthroughs. Jung discovered that the human brain has its own timing. Just as a butterfly cannot help a caterpillar change, your words cannot force someone else's evolution. When you try to give people directions to your mountain, they will mock your climb, not because they're evil people, but because they haven't earned the altitude yet. And it's not your responsibility to lift them with your words. Think about this: how many times have you shared something meaningful, only to feel misunderstood or even criticized for it? That wasn't their failure to fully understand. That was your failure to protect something precious. Carl Jung said that, who looks outside dreams, looks inside awakens. But he also understood something deeper: when you awaken, you have to protect that awakening like a flame in the wind. Silence is not only valuable but also transformative. Here's something that will change everything for you. Jung discovered that the unconscious mind speaks through symbols, not words. When you frequently talk about your knowledge, you're truly losing your connection to the more profound insight trying to emerge. Think of it this way: every time you share your transformation, you're like a storyteller who continues to tell people the story rather than letting them read the book. The story loses its power. And if you keep making this mistake, you will never attain the level of inner authority that comes from real integration. According to Carl Jung's concept of individuation, becoming whole needs you to withdraw your expectations from the world and face yourself sincerely. But many individuals never complete this process because they keep seeking approval outside themselves. They become spiritual performers rather than spiritual practitioners. The individuals who actually understand power never talk about it. And I'm about to show you precisely how they work. Jung said that the meeting of two individuals is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is a reaction, both are changed. But here's what he discovered in his clinical practice: transformation can only occur when both parties are willing. When you share knowledge and wisdom with a person who isn't seeking them, you're not creating transformation, you're creating resistance. Here's the painful reality about why your loved ones don't want to hear about your progress: your awakening threatens their comfort. Your honesty exposes their confusion. Therefore, they challenge you: not because you're wrong, but because they don't want you to be right. Carl Jung called this psychological projection. They're seeing in you what they fear in themselves, the possibility of transformation, the accountability of development, and the discomfort of reality. And if your foundation isn't deep enough, their rejection will make you wobble. This is why timing is so important in transformation. Just as you wouldn't plant seeds in winter, you shouldn't plant wisdom in unprepared minds. The reality delivered at the wrong time is no better than a deception. Your responsibility isn't to change other people. Your responsibility is to internalize your reality so fully that your life becomes proof of what you've discovered. The most powerful individuals I know use a strategy that Carl Jung discovered in his own journey toward individuation. They let their actions be the invitation. They let the way they live spark curiosity. Carl Jung said that your vision becomes obvious when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside, dreams. Who looks inside, awakens. But here's a level of sophistication he rarely speaks about publicly. Real awakening involves knowing when to stay silent about what you've discovered. There's a silent law in this world that few individuals understand, and it's about to transform how you handle all knowledge for the rest of your life. When you give insight too early, you're not just sharing reality. You're placing your inner development at the mercy of other people's reactions. Jung observed this trend repeatedly. Those who would have deep realizations, share them prematurely, encounter rejection, and then start questioning themselves. Their time of perfect clarity becomes clouded by external criticism. But when you master the insight I'm about to share, something wonderful happens to your vitality. Carl Jung found out that individuation, becoming your real self, requires moments of what he called active imagination. This is when you speak with your unconscious mind in silence, allowing knowledge to grow without external interference. In this place, change happens naturally. Your behavior begins to change in subtle ways, how you wake up, how you walk away from what no longer helps you. Now, some of you are thinking, but shouldn't I share my knowledge to help other people? And that's exactly the trap Jung warned about. He said that the need to heal other people often comes from our own unhealed wounds. If you feel forced to wake people up, ask yourself, am I really helping them, or am I striving to validate my own experience? Most of the time, it's the latter. The masters of change understand something that newbies don't. Carl Jung said that the opportunity of a lifetime is to become who you really are. But becoming needs silence. Just as a caterpillar must dissolve in darkness before surfacing as a butterfly, when you withhold sharing your knowledge, you allow them to work on you. They start to shape the way you behave, your habits, and your personality. This is integration, the process Jung considered necessary for psychological completeness. While everybody else shares their spirituality on the internet, those who are truly awakened are doing silent work. They're choosing discipline over desire. They're walking away from confusion rather than facing it. They're dealing with their pain rather than running from it or sharing it. These are the moments that build unwavering presence, not the moments when you talk, but the moments when you act from your innermost knowledge. And when you eventually master this, something incredible happens to how others respond to you. Carl Jung observed that if someone has really integrated their knowledge, they gain what he called psychological gravitas. This is a presence that other people sense immediately, even though they can't name it. You stop needing to convince anybody of anything. Your silence causes them to be curious. Your restraint makes people wonder what you know that they don't. But here's something that your ego won't like. Jung said that the shadow, the parts of ourselves we don't want to acknowledge, always disguises itself as virtue. The ego says, I must disclose this truth to help other people. But an intelligent person comprehends this as an urge for validation dressed up as kindness. The real power doesn't announce itself. So, how can you really apply this in everyday life? Carl Jung gave us a framework that transforms everything. First, when you feel that captivating moment of insight, pause. Ask yourself, is this for everyone to hear, or is this for me to live? In most cases, it's the latter. Second, let your calmness hold it. Let your silence nurture it. Let your actions show that. Give yourself the gift of incorporating before you try to give other people the gift of your knowledge. Because here's what Jung discovered about the nature of change: true change happens in the silent moments when nobody is watching. It happens in your morning calmness, in your evening reflection, and in the way you choose to respond rather than react. This is when you become unshakable, not through words, but through manifestation. Now, some of you are worried that if you don't share your knowledge, you'll lose it. But Jung discovered the opposite is true. If you protect your realizations, they get stronger. They become ingrained in your being instead of floating in your mind. They become unshakable facts rather than fragile concepts relying on other people's validation. And as you continue practicing this discipline, something significant starts to happen. Carl Jung called this process individuation, becoming who you really are, regardless of other people's opinions or expectations. You stop being a reaction to everything around you and become a deliberate expression of your innermost truth. Your presence begins to carry weight, not because you demand it, but because you've achieved it through the discipline of silence.